Hey, how are you today? I have a fresh lesson to share with you right away before we get on topic. If you don't hit start broadcast, it won't start. So there's your bonus tip for the day. If you're going to go live or record something, hit the little button. Hi there. I'm Daphne Smith. I'm a wave maker and a constant continual learner. It is great to be here with you today. And I'm really excited because this topic is near and dear to me. I imagine a lot of you can relate. And the topic for today is, are you leaking? Now, I get it. Based on your gender and or where you are in life, that could mean a lot of things, okay? I'm talking about your brain and your energy. None of your bodily functions, okay? So that's not what today is about. I want to make sure that I give you all the value I possibly can. So made some notes so that I stay on track and I don't tend to wander, which is actually, that's a sign of energy leaking. I'm going to ask you three things or propose three different scenarios to you. Ways to find out if you are leaking. Number one, if you don't know what day it is, like on a regular basis, you're leaking energy. Number two, if you regularly drop the ball, like unfulfilled responsibilities, forgot to pick up the kids, the dry cleaning, turn on the oven, turn off the oven. Any of those things, dropping the ball, if you're doing that on a regular basis, you could be leaking energy. And if you get distracted while you're talking, let's be real, because that's what you can count on me for. There are times other people are talking and I get a little distracted, either because I'm in my head or I'm bored or they sound like that teacher on Peanuts, wah, wah, wah. Okay, that's a different scenario. But if you're the one talking and you're getting distracted, chasing way too many squirrels or going down too many rabbit trails, that's a definite sign that you're leaking energy. So if you can relate to this, go ahead and type leaky into the comments, because I want to make sure this is something relevant, something that you can relate to, or you can for a friend, but like legit. Maybe there's a friend who you experience these symptoms with, and you're going to want to share this video with them, because I've got 3 takeaways to help you stop leaking energy, okay? Now, let's think about our brains. And I'm not going to go too deep because I'm no expert. I will refer an expert to you later, so stay tuned. But our brains are amazing instruments. They really are tools for us to use, and their capacity is infinite. They're kind of like, if you will, this sponge. It's going to absorb and absorb and absorb until it is oversaturated, right? Have you ever had a sponge where you don't even have to squeeze it out, it just starts dripping? Our brains are like that. That means the sponge has too much. It needs to be drained, or at least relieved a little bit by squeezing out. Our brains are the same way. We can absorb to a certain point, but at some point, we're going to need to release, so that not only our brains, but our bodies as well can conserve the energy and focus and maximize the opportunities before us. So I have 3 tips for you today to stop leaking energy. The first tip, are you ready? I know one of my friends typed in that she's leaky, so I get you, girl. Number 1 tip, write it down. Squeeze it out. Put it on paper. Relieve all the words in your head by writing them down. I have an actual brain dump book, okay? It's a recycled book, so I don't use it for this anymore, but brain dump. Fits in my purse, fits in my briefcase, sits on the front seat of the car, bedside table, can pretty much go wherever I go. When it pops in my head, I write it down. That way I don't have to worry about keeping up with it. Maybe a composition notebook isn't your thing. Maybe you're more of a spiral person. That works too. Hey, and if you're super organized, a spiral with tabs, you know, if you've watched my videos, love me some office and organizational supplies. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's the bottom line, is the format, but it needs to be something you can keep track of. So napkins and little scraps of paper are just going to add to the energy leak because you're going to have to try to keep track of them. You know, when your computer has too many tabs open, it won't function or process things at its maximum ability. Your brains are the same way. So when you write it down, you're closing some tabs. Not going to lose the information. I can go back to Google anytime I need or want. I can go retrieve a file once it's been saved. So once it's written down, you save the energy and you can move on. That's the number one tip. Write it down. Number two tip, prioritize. All right. Stephen Covey talks about this, or talked about it. There's a difference between important and urgent. When we determine what that difference is, because, hey, just because it's urgent to somebody else doesn't mean it is to me. #boundaries. Well, when you have determined what's important and what's urgent, that is going to prevent energy from leaking. Let me give you a couple of examples. I have a resource for garlic olive oil. And if you have ever tried this particular garlic olive oil, you'll understand. I love my garlic olive oil. But here's the deal. I've been out for a week. I've been out of garlic olive oil for a week. Why? Because the store where I go, it's one of these little specialty stores, is not convenient. It is not the best use of my time to drop everything, run, go get my olive oil, then come back. I will have wasted minimum an hour of my day. So I will replenish that olive oil when it's convenient. It is important, but it is not urgent. I've got avocado and coconut oil. I've got unflavored olive oil. I'm okay. I'm not experiencing an oil crisis. It's just, that's my favorite. So it's important to replenish it, but it's not urgent. I don't have to drop everything and take care of it right now. And in the vein of being honest and self-confession, I have had this birdhouse project for about 2.5 weeks. I just took care of it today. Why? Because it was important. It was not urgent. And I was tired of thinking about it. Having that tab open, having it sitting out in front of my face was making me leak energy. So what I do before this video, I dealt with the project. It has been filled, altered, and is now hanging. I can close that tab. I can move on. So number 2 is prioritize. What is important and what is urgent? And number 3, I do my numbers, 1, 2, 3. 1, write it down. 2, prioritize. 3, set a deadline. That alone, putting a date on it, will help plug your leak. Here's an example. I've got a pretty significant birthday coming up in December. It's the 3rd. Gifts, blessings, and prayers graciously received. This birthday has a 5 on the end of it. So it's a big one. And I have some goals for that day. That deadline has been preset for me. Okay? Thank you, Mom and Dad. I know what the day is. And one of my goals is to celebrate that day in smaller size clothes than I am wearing today. So what I've done is I've imagined what would it look like to celebrate that significant day in a smaller size outfit. It's going to be fabulous. I get giddy thinking about it. Can't wait to go shopping. Then I took a minute and I imagined that day without being in a smaller size. I'm still going to celebrate. Let's face it. Being alive in and of itself is reason to celebrate. I love you, Joy Caps. You're my new best friend. There's a story behind me turning 35. I'll share it with you next time we talk. But anyway, when I envision that day exactly as I am, size-wise, it's going to be a good day. I promise you it will be a good day. Will it be as big a celebration as when I rock a new outfit that's in a smaller size? Honestly, for me, no. Don't judge. That's just me being real. Setting a deadline helps me understand, is this really important? How important is it? Which kind of circles back to prioritizing, right? So when we are under stress, it has unknown and unlimited effects on our lives and our bodies in more ways than we are even aware. I'm not a doctor. I've already made this disclaimer. But I have one word. Cortisol. Yep. Don't spend a lot of time researching it. Just trust me. Your body, the stress of all these decisions that need to be made, stress is stress. Your body doesn't know if you're celebrating a birthday or being chased by a tiger. It just appears as stress. So if your brain is leaking energy, that is stress on your body. You can stop vacillating and or processing, right? You know people like that. I need to process that for a while. Ask them for a deadline. How long do they need to process it, right? Because at some point, indecision is decision in and of itself, right? One of my mentors, Carrie Oberbrunner, taught me about the definition, and I'm a bit of a word nerd, so loved learning some Latin. Decide, the root cadere, means to cut off. When we decide to stop leaking energy, right then and there, we've set ourselves up for success. Because we are cutting off, we are eliminating, we are killing the other options. So it's up to you. It truly is. How do you want to continue? Do you want to keep leaking? Or do you want to harness your energy? Think about steam. When we harness steam, locomotives can move. When we just allow it to flitter through the air, other than a little dampness and humidity, what do we get? So harness your energy, harness those thoughts. I would love to know which one of these tips you're going to implement first. Are you going to write it down, prioritize, and or create a deadline? Stick that in the comments because that alone is going to give you some accountability. Now, I mentioned earlier, there is, that I'm not a doctor, but there is one that has done a tremendous amount of research on the brain and our body and the effects that our thoughts have on and through each other. Check out Dr. Caroline Leaf. I'll put a link to some of her social media in the comments. Oh, I've learned so much by listening to her books because I can listen to her book while I am exercising. Both are important to grow my brain, to exercise my body, and I can do them together to maximize my time. Are you tracking? I bet you are. And I also thank you for joining me today. So put down in the comments which tip you're going to apply first. I'd love to know and cheer you on. And also, who could benefit from this video? I'm going to ask you to share it with them, please. They will thank you because they will stop leaking energy, which means they will be more productive. So you will have blessed them in that way. Hey, I appreciate you. Remember, our energy needs to be harnessed and renewed in order to be most effective. Stop treading water. Start making waves by writing it down, prioritizing, and setting a deadline. Have a great day. Bye for now.